was out there working up a lot of sweat, like a lot of my neighbors today. So tomorrow, maybe even more comfortable for my vigorous activities. And as you probably read in the headline, got to get the wet weather gear handy. We are going to have a couple of chances of rain. It's possible, even a thunderstorm, and one of these storms does possess a first warn over 2 days. So let's jump right on in here and get to what is going on. We'll start by just kind of taking a look at the week ahead. We've got cooler but pleasant weather for Sunday. Let's take a look at what's going to happen as we head into Monday. It's our first chance for rain. It's not a great chance, not a lot of rain in that forecast, but it is the first of a little bit of a different pattern than we've been dealing with. We haven't had measurable rain up at the airport all month, and we're on the 15th day, so we're halfway through. And then Thursday and Friday, let's get my face out of there so you can see, we've got a first warn, and it's looking like a soaker. Could be one of the better rains we've had in a long time. But we have said that a couple of times before, and by the time we got there, it has fizzled. So that is something, obviously, that's in the back of our mind, and we're going to keep an eye on. Let's take a look back before we take a look forward. It was so warm last night and this morning. Our low was 56 degrees. Our normal high, or average high, if you will, is 54. So we started off warmer than what our average high is, and that springboarded us to the third warmest November 15th ever, 75 degrees. The record was set 75 years ago in 1950. But wait, there's more statistics. We were, 72 Thursday, 75 yesterday, 75 today. That equals 74, which is the third warmest stretch of any November 13th, 14th, and 15th. The warmest, 1971. Second warmest, 1964. And then we had this year, third at 74 degrees. All right, so what to expect this week? Warmer than average temperatures, even though we're not going to see the 70s again. We'll still have highs in the 60s. We should be in the low to mid-50s, and then low 50s as we head through the day. Rain chance returns Monday. A few rumbles possible. Yeah, might get some lightning. And wet weather gear, you'll need it Wednesday evening, but the first warning is for the stronger part of the storm Thursday and Friday. So why do we need the rain so much? Nothing measurable, just a trace up at the airport. And that means we're missing more than an inch of rain. And you go on a dry October, dry September, dry August. It has been 3.5 months of lacking any rain. And with it being so warm, there's still some foliage out there, or not foliage, but, still some plants, bushes. I know I have some bushes that are really stressed right now that are, still dealing with this, even though some of them have gone dormant. Not all of them. Let's talk about temperatures. Let's talk about something happy. How about that? We're in the 40s through 9 o'clock. Then look at that, 55 by 11 o'clock. And how about some low 60s as we head through the afternoon hours? Won't be quite as breezy as it was today, and the winds will be out of the east at 5 to 10. That's why it's not going to be quite as warm. And tomorrow evening, if you are heading out, a little bit cooler than this evening. We'll drop into the upper 40s by the time we get to 9 o'clock. Now, we talked about this on Tuesday's weather show, and if you weren't there, or if you were, here's an update, because that dew point forecast, the amount of moisture, the real amount of moisture in the air, it's not relative to anything. Relative humidity is the amount of moisture in the air relative to the temperature. The dew point is the actual amount of moisture in the air, no matter what the temperature. And so our dew point right now is in the upper 40s, very comfortable. But as we talked about Tuesday, and we'll talk about now, as we head into the 30s and 20s, like tomorrow morning, skin gets dry, your hands get dry, your lips get chapped. You may, which happens to me a lot when my skin gets dry, I go to grab something and it slips right through because my hands are so slippery because they don't have any moisture on them. Now, scorched sinuses, yep, that could happen tomorrow. We could drop down into the upper teens in some areas and low 20s. So that's when you get that scratchiness in your nose and maybe in the back of your throat. For some folks, it produces more mucus, which is gross, and that drips into the back of your throat. So it's just not a good thing. And that's going to be a quick hit. It's just tomorrow, because to get rain back in the forecast, we got to have more humidity in the air, and that'll come Monday. But until then, here's some ways to hydrate. At least your house, humidifier. You can boil some water, but don't be like Mike and boil it down to the point where it's gone, and then it ruins your pan or your pot that you have it in because you got it too hot. Hot showers, that puts humidity in the air. And even putting water near a heat source like a vent, that will add water. And what we do a lot, we have a lot of house plants. That really helps out in the winter. Now for your body, you want to hydrate, obviously. Drink a lot of water, moisturize, and warm showers. You don't want hot showers necessarily because that will take the moisture away from your skin. All right, let's take a look at Monday. That's our first chance. As we head towards the morning hours, there's a very, very small chance that we could have some light showers. The air is just going to be so dry still. That's a real uphill battle for these storms to overcome that dry air. So we'll have more moisture through the day thanks to a southeast wind. It'll be gusty. And you can see showers maybe a little bit better as we head into the afternoon and evening hours as a little bit of a warm front tries to move through, or at least a humidity front. That's the humidity coming back. The dew points will be in the 40s, even some 50s, and that will feel comfortable. And then we've got a little boundary coming through that will bump into that more humid air, and there you go. We could have some showers, possibly even some rumbles of thunder as we head into the evening hours. Okay, so that's our first chance. There's about a 40% chance of that. So we're not looking at a first warn. Plus, it looks like if we do have some heavier rain in central Missouri, it's going to be when most of us are home already, 9, 10 o'clock. And so the impacts are minimal. Now, look at this. As we head past Monday into especially Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're looking at 1/2 inch to 1 inch. I-35 and westward, east of there, maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches. That's that good soaking I'm talking about from that next storm. So let's talk about that. Wednesday morning, 7 o'clock, no harm, no foul. There may be some sprinkles down to our south, but as we head into the evening hours, especially after 6 o'clock, we've got a chance of some light rain, some light showers hanging around, and then the moisture really flies in by Thursday morning. This is why it's impactful and why we have a first warn for Thursday. Look at that, 7 o'clock in the morning could impact your morning commute. Evening commute could be even more impacted as those southerly winds pump even more moisture in, and we could have some moderate showers. When you get to yellow, you're starting to get to some moderate showers. Thunder, there's an outside chance. It's definitely something we're going to keep an eye on. And then we get on the backside of that storm for Friday. And north of 70, the way it looks right now, this could change. North of 70, we'll have some light rain Friday. And then some light rain and showers will slowly wrap its way back south towards the rest of us as we head into the evening hours. And we'll drop from a 60% chance of wet weather on Thursday to about a 50% on Friday. Much lighter amounts on Friday also. So your plans will be impacted, but not as greatly as they will be Thursday with that heavier rain. I want to show you, just for fun, let's take a look at Thanksgiving week, 23rd through the 29th. It's going to be warmer than average. It's about a 40-50% chance of it being warmer than average. And our average high that time of the year is 50, cooling down to 48. We could have some more wet weather. We've got a 40 to 50% chance of being wetter than normal also. And of course, we know it's the biggest travel season of the year because it's really compacted into Wednesday and Sunday. So we're going to keep an eye on that for you right now. Nah, I wouldn't worry about it. You know, if anything, it's going to be wet for us, maybe frozen somewhere else. And that's something we'll keep an eye on. And I want to go even deeper. I was sitting around thinking, you know, hear about, and you may have heard, there's a big shift in the weather pattern that's coming in December, and we can feel it early December. This is the 1st through the 12th. This is week 3 and 4 of the forecast. So we're going beyond the second week of the forecast, which is Thanksgiving. Now we're going 3 and 4. And we're looking at a 40 to 50% chance of temperatures cooler than 47 to 43. That means we could jump into the 30s for highs. What I did notice, it's probably going to be dry air once again. There's not a lot of moisture, but again, that's just giving you a way ahead look. I thought it'd be something fun to do on a Saturday. Why not? All right, let's circle back to our Security Bank 7-day forecast. 63 for tomorrow, mostly sunny, a light breeze. Mostly cloudy Monday, that 40% chance of showers. Temperature down to about 62 degrees. And then as we head into Tuesday, we have partly cloudy conditions, and we warm up a little bit with a southerly wind, 66. Wednesday, we're going to have that cloudiness in the morning, that increasing cloudiness. At Wednesday, I may have to change that 30% to a 40, but it should be after the 6 o'clock hour. So right now, it looks like everybody gets home on time from the commute, and then the rain starts to move in. And then you can see it doubles up Wednesday night into Thursday, 60%, temperature down to 60. We drop down to 54 on Friday with that wraparound lighter rain. And then once we're out of that, Monday, or Saturday, I should say, a week from now, temperatures pretty close to average, partly cloudy, 35 and 50. So, yeah, next weekend could be 25 degrees cooler than what we dealt with today. That kind of puts a little spin on it, doesn't it? But we expect that this time of the year. All right, so it's about 9:18 right now. I'm going to head back, take a look at the latest data, adjust some things, possibly like that Wednesday forecast, and I'll see you at 10 o'clock on the television. Hope you have a great rest of your evening.